Oh sure, now you play the Game of Thrones musical goodness in the opening credits after I send the lack of it in the first episode. So now you're getting sent 2 more times. 1 for making me look like an asshole, and 2 for making me wait an entire episode before I got my dun 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 fix. Here's what we know from the intro. Symbols bleed and run together all willy-nilly until they fall into a hole that ends in a fire of 1,000 suns and burns up. What we don't know is how bad the smell of burning blood must be. We go now to the aforementioned trouble in the Stepstones, with Boots on the ground bringing terrible footage that will curl the toes of any foe. Speaking of Boots, wear yours and triple tie those knots. The bloodlust crabs are back, and we're not talking about trading kinky STDs during your cycle, princess. These crustaceans will crack your knuckles and carnivorously canoodle your caboodle until only your corpse remains. This update is sponsored by Joe's Crab Shack, confidently casting evil out of crustaceans for a truly demon-free delicious treat since the first men gave the finger to the children of the forest. Back to you, Ollie.
His remains are being prepared by the Silent Sisters.
The problem with the Silent Sisters being in charge of burial repair is that they never tell you when they're done, or when they've started, or what they need, because they're silent.
All have passed fair trials.
Ooh, like ring toss, high striker, milk bottle knockdown. Either way, winning fair games is impressive considering they're totally rigged.
4 ships have now been lost.
Did Corliss start speaking without placing his ball on the table? I thought the rule was expose your balls for all to see or keep your words under lock and key.
The Stepstones have now grown into a conflagration, yet you sit here and dither about court business.
Maybe the dithering wouldn't be so dire if Lord Corliss had simply said, "Shit is on fire," rather than inflate with a word like conflagration. And yes, I'm upset because I had to use the dictionary today.
What reason does the crab feeder have to fear us?
If you have access to a few thousand skillets and several pounds of butter, you could take away all of the crab feeder's weapons and feed your entire kingdom for weeks. You really need to start thinking outside of the box, Corliss.
Damon has squatted there for over half a year.
That's right. 6 months have passed from episode 1 to episode 2. And if you farted loudly enough during this scene, you'd have missed out on that detail entirely, making the remainder of this episode oddly detached. Not that I have personal experience with having missed such timeline clues early on.
Sir Criston Cole, son of the steward of the Lord of Blackhaven.
We will find out shortly that Sir Harold and Otto don't want Sir Criston selected. So my question is, why did they invite him to the rose ceremony in the first place?
The Dragon Lords, the highest of the nobility, lived here, at the volcanic face, closest to the source of their magic and power.
And here's a moment when I realize I would much rather be watching those Dragon Lord folks rather than these people. I mean, what makes these new characters interesting anyway? That Daenerys sprouted out of their ancestral insanity? I already went through therapy for that. Whoop, the opening titles are leaking into the show.
What if you went to her?
There are times when I would rather face the Black Dread himself than mine own daughter of 15.
Dads and daughters, am I right? But seriously, why is it easier to ask questions in a creepy manner to your daughter's very young friend than it is to ask your own daughter how she's doing?
You do not mention our talks to Rhaenyra, do you? I fear that she wouldn't understand them.
Why wouldn't your 15-year-old daughter understand that you have meetings with her best friend behind closed doors that have been going on since right after her mother died a little over 6 months ago? I'm sure she'll totally get it and be super happy when you take Alicent as your next wife. This many candles, which appear to be concentrated entirely too much in certain areas, while simultaneously lacking a lit impact in the great void of this massive room. All at the same time. This entirely too long moment when Alicent stares at Rhaenyra for nearly 10 seconds.
I know tempers ran hot today. I wanted to assure you how much I value the bond between our houses.
So much so, I'll tell you about it in private instead of in front of the council earlier, who mostly caused the tempers to run hot when they were quickly dismissive of you after you entered the room.
You could not ask for a stronger match than Laena.
And I'm sure this would work out for the king. I mean, it's not like Laena's a small child or even younger than Alicent, right? Right? That is far too much food for 2 people. Oh, I know this game. It's a sound guessing game. Is this sound bacon or rain? Tricked you. The sound's maggots. Thank you, Game of Thrones, for ruining one of my favorite games for a f***ing lifetime.
The maggots will remove the dead flesh and hopefully stop the advance of the rot.
You know what would really help? A less stabby throne. All these unlit candles. And yes, I just send too many candles, but if you have them to light the room and do not use them during a medical procedure involving rotting flesh, then what the f*** are you even doing with candles at all?
I dearly loved my own lady wife.
As you can tell when I refer to her as my lady wife.
I would give you many children of pure Valyrian blood.
Unless, of course, she isn't able to give birth for some medical reason, or dies young, or this is so f***ed up, right?
What did your mother tell you?
That I wouldn't have to bed you until I turned 14.
Parents.
The men of the realm already had their opportunity to appoint a ruling queen at the Great Council, and they denied it.
They denied you, Princess Rhaenys.
Love to see the Game of Thrones franchise has moved away from making petty jealousy be the focal point of 97% of the show's conflicts.
Seems the realm wants for a new queen.
Does the realm want a queen that changes her clothes when the day is new? Because Henrietta Hightower here is absolutely in the same dress she was in last night. I never wear the same clothes twice unless I just pity someone and I don't want to leave until the ew.
I'm sure that she is good and kind.
Well, and the good news is that if Lena's not, she can just be groomed like a piece of property to become whatever the old men want her to be. Am I Game of Throning right? I am, and that is a sin.
I brought you something.
Is it a new finger? Because he really needs one of those more than anything.
Go to your throne on Damon Leitas.
All right, sweet, great. So I guess we know now that taking dragon eggs that were supposed to be for other people is a super quick way to upset a Targaryen. Does it have to make sense to me before now? Apparently not. I guess the upside to the shift in momentum is that we're watching something other than boring political conversation. Also, I get that everyone is upset and leaving the table quickly to deal with the dragon egg situation, but hold on. Who puts their balls away? Can anyone handle their balls whenever they want? What are the ball rules? I'm very distracted by these men's balls. Deus Cyrex Machina. I conveniently built this bridge to be the perfect width for a dragon to rest both of its feet across.
If you wish to be restored as heir, you'll need to kill me.
Except the king will most likely remarry and have another kid, potentially a son as well, so Daemon's kind of at a no-win crossroads. Even if he also killed the king, Daemon would probably be killed before he ever planted either of Matt Smith's butt cheeks on the throne. Also, how many TV series are we going to have where the more evil brother is named Daemon? I mean, there's this and Vampire Diaries and, did I mention Vampire Diaries? Shoot, back myself into a corner here. Show steals character name and a trait from a CW show. Nailed it.
I came to you to be liberated.
From what?
Fear.
Yeah, sure, maybe she fantasized that she could be liberated from fear after a wild night in the brothel, but in the light of day, certainly the very cunning Mysaria would realize that aligning herself with the very rebellious Daemon would put her in harm's way with many things to fear. I'm saying she's hanging out with a Targaryen. What did she think was going to happen?
I wish I had known better what to say to you in the aftermath.
Poor guy. Hallmark wasn't around at this time, you see, so it was very hard to come up with a way to apologize for cutting open a person and ripping out a baby. That face when you've decided to derail your entire family's future and opt for a quick rather than waiting for a strong ally that would prevent an internal war.
I intend to marry the Lady Alicent Hightower.
No one should be that surprised by this announcement. I'm more interested why people weren't asking why Alicent was at the council room with him in the first place. Seems like the king gave that announcement away by having her randomly in the room.
This is an absurdity.
Thinking not marrying a 12-year-old is an absurdity.
When I ascended the Driftwood throne, I knew what I wanted, so I went out and seized it.
Boasting about stealing.
I've always thought of you and I as having been made from the same cloth.
Holy sh*, he's talking to Daemon, is something no one had ever seen an episode of any television show exclaimed.
You've heard of the troubles in the Stepstones?
Yes, you've got lots and lots of trouble. I'm thinking of the crabs and the knickerbockers, bloodthirst-crazed ones, peeking in the whore hall window after gruel. You got trouble, folks, right here in Free Cities. Trouble with a capital T, and that rhymes with C, and that stands for crabs.
I will not have Driftmark beggared while our king idles himself with feasts and balls and tourneys.
Balls! See? You know, they've done a really great job at highlighting the menace and terror of the Crab King and setting him up as a powerful villain in the Thrones universe. I can't wait to see how we get to know more about his motives and methods as he develops into the show's overarching nemesis for the next several seasons. Good thing he's not going anywhere.
I can't make a double Krabby Patty with the work.
This knight will protect you as well. You should choose.
I choose rich every fucking time. I waited so long, and you broke it.
What do I say? Whatever you wish. Fantasia can arise in you.
Talking to people all day long, blah, blah, blah. Bullshit.
Could you pass the salt?
I would give you many children of pure Valerian blood, so that we might strengthen the royal line and the realm.
What have I done?
If you mean to elicit some anger from me, you should know that you're failing, Princess.
I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed.
Oh, come on, we can take him.